Our tale of invasives begins with humans. But first you might wonder, what is an invasive? Simply put, an invasive is a species of plant or animal that finds itself in a place outside of its native range. That's where it's from and used to being, and it decides to start living there. But not only do they live there, in living their life, they cause damage to other species or the environment around them. We are Mississippi Bug Blues, and what we do is monitor Mississippi for invasive insects and help protect our state. But how do these invasives get moved around? The answer is almost always humans. We don't usually do it on purpose, but we move insects and other invasives all around the world. Why? Because humans like stuff. And with that stuff, sometimes we get insects. And if those insects are invasives, they move into our environment and start making themselves at home. That's where Bug Blues comes in. We set traps everywhere they might be, and we look for all kinds. This is the journey of one trap. We set it up. We got a lure that attracts the insects we are looking for. We wait and wait. Some traps stay for a whole month, and then it's time to bring it in. The first thing we do is enter the trap into our database to keep track of it. Then the trap is assigned a special number that we use to report it later. Then the trap is checked by an expert to see if there are any of the insects we are looking for. Sometimes other things get stuck, but we usually ignore that stuff. So, then what happens? Usually, we don't find anything, which is a good sign because that means that our environment is probably pretty healthy. At least it doesn't have invasives in it. And so if it is negative, we call that a 0, and usually we throw the trap away. But what happens if we find the invasives that we're looking for? So we record all of our data, both positive and negative, in annual reports. And that information is used to decide where we need to focus on managing and trying to get rid of those invasives, depending on if we find any. And then if we have a positive, we also keep that trap just in case we have to look at it again later. But sometimes it's really not easy to tell insects apart and whether it's invasive or not. Come on and I'll show you what I mean. First of all, we don't just get traps from Mississippi. Our screening center works with 9 other states, checking their invasive samples too. We have to suit up and wear appropriate clothing in the lab. We have people trained to look for certain groups of insects, but only our entomologist experts make the final call on a positive invasive ID. Sometimes sorting through those bugs looks kind of gross, and they don't smell great either. Some samples are put neatly together in petri dishes for professional ID. And we have so many samples, about 12,000 every year. That's a lot of insects, traps, and hours. Some insects are impossible to tell apart by looking at them, even to the trained experts. These special moth samples have to be treated and dissected or taken apart because the only way to tell them apart is differences on their insides. It's kind of crazy. And look at all these different kinds of traps that we use. So that's what we do, and that's the life of a trap. If you have questions, want to learn more, check out our website and social media pages to follow the adventures of our traps and team. Thanks for joining us for the life of a trap.